Om Namah Shivaya, friends. Welcome to Dots of Destiny. Today, the transit of Rahu in Uttarabhadrapada nakshatra about all the ascendants. The nakshatra Uttarabhadrapada is quite a spiritual nakshatra, and Rahu is a mystical planet. We all know that. So, the combination of this, let us see how it fits. Because Rahu, wherever it is transiting, from the 8th of July, it will transit from Revati to Uttarabhadrapada. It will create some disturbances definitely. That is the way Rahu is. Now, Saturn is the planet that rules this nakshatra. And the deity is Abhir Bhumanyu. This is the mystery of the serpents. It is a very mysterious nakshatra in the sense that it is fiery, but it is the final journey or the third phase, as we call it, Vanaprastham. In Revati, just the sticker mark of death is waiting. This is the process. Purva Bhadrapada, Uttar Bhadrapada, both the nakshatras are very spiritual in the sense that it is represented by the funeral cot. The first two legs are in Purva Bhadrapada, last two in Uttar Bhadrapada. Jupiter is the ruling planet of Purva Bhadrapada, for Saturn is Uttar Bhadrapada. Without Saturn, we know that spirituality cannot be achieved, because the quintessential things about spirituality is delays, hindrances, bowing down, understanding that in front of this whole universe, we are nothing. That is what actually this nakshatra is all about. It is a very fiery nakshatra in the sense it has a spiritual fieriness in it. It keeps you on the edge, thinking that what lies beyond. And any spiritual pursuit, as it takes us towards the final death end, in whichever life stages, life and birth stages or cycles we are in, is not complete without the desire. And any desire is fire. So it is very fiery type in the sense that it keeps you hooked on to the final journey. And whatever planet is situated, if you have a Lagna moon, that is a total spiritual arrangement. Any other planet also, you will see that if a planet is in your Uttar Bhadrapada nakshatra in your horoscope, the houses that planet is ruling will first gives you, or you have desires or you have expectations, you will ultimately leave that, because that is the most important point towards the end of the journey. Usually Uttar Bhadrapada natives like Moon, Lagnam, or if you're running a dasha, you will feel that you are getting very disciplined with this nakshatra. They focus on the humanitarian level also. They help people. They do. And also because they help people, help comes to them suddenly and whenever at the last moment it is required. It is like the growing of the inbuilt fire of spiritual quest, and slowly you go towards it. It is a nakshatra where early success is not at all given, because as you know, Saturn is delay. It will delay success, and success usually comes towards the later part of the life. And also because these individuals are quite wealthy, they are wealthy. In your spiritual way it's wealthy, or even in a material way, but Saturn gives money, but Saturn gives wealth when you reach its criteria of generosity and you give up your ego. Actually Saturn gives you a thing when you actually do not need it anymore. That is the problem with Saturn, and that is why it is a dreaded planet. But this is a very highly, all the Saturn nakshatras are very precious. I mean, in the sense that in my learning, I find that Pushya, Anuradha and Uttarabhadrapada, usually people having planets over here, Lagna, Moon, or a planet where you're running the Dasha, who is sitting in these three nakshatras of Saturn, actually lifts you up to a level which you had not thought when you began with the journey. Yes, it does. So now Rahu, when it comes in this nakshatra, what Rahu can give? Let us see, because it is a planet of desires, and Pisces is an unknown place, unknown desires, desires that people may not know about you. Let's see, because see, whenever we calculate the Rahu's transit, or decipher it rather, we have to understand, because it is ruled by Saturn and Rahu is transiting from 8th of July to 25th February in this nakshatra. In between, Saturn goes retrograde and then direct also. So this retrograde, because the two houses ruled by Saturn will be affected by Rahu transiting this nakshatra. And people, those who are running Rahu Mahadasha, Antardasha, Saturn Mahadasha, Antardasha, and Dasha Pratyanta, something, they will get the results fully. In the Pratyanta, in the Shukshma Dasha, certain results, maybe a month of 2 months of result, but mainly Dasha Mahadasha. Now, the two houses of Saturn, wherever it is situated in your horoscope, will directly link with the Rahu's transit in Uttarabhadrapada. Let us see how it fares well for all the ascendants, and let us take the video forward. The Aries ascendants, Rahu's transit in Uttarabhadrapada, and obviously it is lorded by Saturn. Saturn is your 11th lord and 10th lord. Especially 11th, because it is the Mool Trikona of Saturn and Saturn is already placed there. Now there are 2 points to it, that from the 8th of July, when Rahu is entering this nakshatra in your 12th house, Saturn has already retrograded. Now this retrograde Saturn can give you some disturbances in the incoming gains and your professional front. I mean, the easy gains or the back-to-back work or something that was happening, which was not requiring too much of effort maybe from your end, can get delayed. As you know, Saturn will be retrograde till the month of October. So, November mid. So here, the thing is that in these few months, you will, obviously, Rahu is a disturbing planet, but it is a moha planet, desire planet also. It will increase your desire for the 11th and 10th house, which is the houses of Saturn. Now you can start something, thinking about the process, something new that you want to do with these two areas of your life. But gains will happen, that is there. Maybe from a foreign destination, maybe from an unknown source, maybe sudden gains, maybe gains that were stuck up for long will clear up. But the retrograde Saturn puts some break into this journey. That is also true. Nonetheless, it's a good transit actually, because you will think something out of the box, and Rahu is known for that regarding your 10th and 11th houses. And this out of the box thinking, as you start, see, Jupiter is in Rohini and Rahu is in Uttarabhadrapada. Wealthy nakshatras both. One is moon nakshatras are also wealthy. Saturn nakshatras also are storage of the past life karma. So it will give you the thing, it is a good transit, no doubt about that. Rahu's ingress into Uttarabhadrapada for you is a good transit. Only thing is that because Saturn is retrograde, this retrogression of Saturn can create some kind of hassles in the process. It does. We all know that. But if that out of the box thinking, whatever you are thinking, if you have especially Rahu, Mahadasha, Antardasha, or Saturn, Antardasha, Mahadasha, these are activated totally. So that will be a good gains. But one thing is that because it is the 12th house, giving money to some other may give you some loss. If you want to do it for generosity, that's a different thing. That's a generous giving away. That can be done. But now the focus, as all the transits are speaking, Jupiter in 2nd, Saturn in the 11th, and also Rahu now in Uttarabhadrapada, will teach you things about, gains and giving away, both. And in its own way, Rahu is Chalawa. It gives you, but in a different way, because it is a Hatke planet. So think about the transit. If you especially are running through these dashas, or even Saturn dashas if you are running. So think about it, think about gains, think about professional things. Out of the box thinking will be very much valued at this point of time. But if you want to give away money to somebody, please do not expect back in return, because it may not come back. If for philanthropy, it's a very good time. It is one thing about Uttarabhadrapada, because it's a Saturn nakshatra, even for that matter, any Saturn nakshatra has all the good and bad of the past life stored into it. And this will be generated in this transit from 8th of July to 25th of February. It's a good transit. Let's see how it fares for you. Taurus ascendant. Rahu is transiting in your 11th house of desire in the Uttarabhadrapada nakshatra now, from 8th of July. And Saturn being the ruler, it is ruling, Saturn rules your 10th and 9th house. It's Yogakarak planet. Yes, Yogakarak it is, but it does not give up its own nature. Since it's retrograde now, by the time Rahu reaches Uttarabhadrapada, Saturn is already retrograde from 29th of June. Some delays in the professional area can happen for the moment of time. Some delays in journey or, higher learning, not getting the required recognition. These things can happen. Immediately, you cannot expect a very good result, though the transit is very good. Because Saturn is retrograde, it is creating some issues with the generation of the result that it should already start giving. But understand one thing, Rahu is a very mystical planet. And whenever it gives result in quite a different way also. Its results are not, the exact natural way of giving. It puts you in certain situations which you have not thought of. It gives you a certain disturbance which you have not thought of. And now it takes you away and makes you bigger and larger than life if you surpass that. Rahu works very differently. And that's why to gauge Rahu and its transits are quite a lot to decipher. Whether it will give the desired result or it will take you backward and then give you the result, it's how Rahu works. And in Rahu, if you are in Rahu Mahadasha, Antardasha, it will be a very high time that you want things to happen, because that is how the, the appetite of Rahu is. You feel that you should get the best and on the top of the world. This is a good transit, no doubt about it. When Saturn once gets direct from November, it is an even better transit. So I feel November, December, January, February will be a much better result for this transit. But you will get some recognition which can get a little delayed due to retrogression of Saturn. Your bhagyam, your traveling, all these things will be very much given as a gift to you by Rahu. No doubt it's a good transit. But obviously, the Saturn is transiting your 10th house, but wherever Saturn is sitting in your horoscope, if you want to improve your Saturn, you can give dan or service regarding that house. As you know, the best result for Saturn is got with hard work, with patience, with delays, handling hindrances. Obviously, if you want to enhance the Saturn in your horoscope to get the best result, stay generous. Accept criticism. That is very important also. Saturn is a natural karaka for criticism. Accept it. Accept generosity. Accept, bow down to it. Whatever is given to you, understand that this is just the first phase of it. Slowly it is going to get better. But retrograde Saturn is the energy that you have to handle with this Rahu's transit, because both are coming. There is some reason that Rahu is getting into this nakshatra when already Saturn is retrograde. So some past life karmas, which is the storage, actually Uttarabhadrapada or Any Saturn nakshatra is the storage of karmas that we have done, good and bad. So that will come out eventually, and try to handle it. Yes, this is a good transit, no doubt about it. I can see that by November, December, end of the year, some kind of desire fulfillment is waiting for you. So go with it. For Gemini ascendants, Saturn is transiting, Rahu is transiting in Uttarabhadrapada in your 10th house of professional changes. Now this will give a change, 100% it will, because Saturn is your 9th and 8th lord, and Rahu is known for disturbances and things which are unknown, which are mystic, which are hidden. We don't understand that until it is revealed to us. That is how Rahu works. Now, in your professional area, some kind of change is awaiting. Whether your boss gets changes, you get changes, shift to a different department, new kind of job, new project, you don't want to work with it, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, it will happen. Whether some foreign element is there, suddenly your team is changed, but definitely you are shifted from this desk to that desk, anything, but it will happen. It is going to happen, because Rahu and Saturn are both conjuring up together to make that happen. That is why Saturn is retrograde when Rahu is entering your Uttarabhadrapada nakshatra in the 10th house, because retrograde Saturn does work in a fierce way. Yes, it gives sudden good results also, not denying that, but it will make you do some things which you had not thought of it until Rahu gets into Uttarabhadrapada. Especially if you have a running Mahadasha, Antardasha of Rahu Saturn combination, something like that, sure you'll get this thing. First and foremost, as the Saturn is retrograde, it will take some time for you to adjust with the things, but later it will be a habit, and you know now Saturn will come into your 10th house. So a big change is waiting to happen. This is just the first leg of it. So this transit, I will say it's a good transit, because it shows you the different things that you are going to come across once Saturn enters into your 10th house. Your bhagya can get a bit slow because Saturn is retrograde now. You can have your parents, especially father's health, needs to be checked at this point of time, because Saturn is also your 8th lord. Certain disturbances suddenly can happen, and Rahu gives results which are quite sudden. So, but nonetheless, a little bit challenge is there in the transit, not denying that. But understand that whenever Rahu is transiting into your 10th house, whether this nakshatra or any other nakshatra, it is gearing up to give some kind of sudden breaks, sudden joys, sudden changes, sudden out of the box thinking. And Uttarabhadrapada nakshatra is known for all these things. But be generous, accept it, because it is the last leg that is happening now. Saturn goes into your 10th house next year. It will be even more changes. You start from the base and build up the structure. Enjoy this transit. I mean, it can at times it can feel a little stuck in the as Saturn is retrograde now till November, but ultimately it will give way to good things, actually, out of the box things that you may not have thought till now. So that is the transit of Rahu for you. Cancer ascendants, Rahu is transiting in your 9th house. 9th house in Uttarabhadrapada from 8th of July, and Saturn, the ruler of Uttarabhadrapada, is your 7th and 8th lord. Now already you are going through Ashtam Shani. You have to be very careful with this transit, as Rahu will give results regarding the Saturn houses also. Spouse can be very busy. Spouse can go for long distance journey. You can feel little irritated with the behavior of your spouse. Your father's health can need a checkup. 8th house, whenever Saturn, because 8th house is involved in this transit, because Rahu will now give the results of wherever the houses of Saturn are. It will give some sudden makes and breaks in your bhagya. Already you understand that the 8th, though other transits are good for Cancer, because Jupiter is in the 11th house, and see, it's not a bad time, but you understand that the 8th Saturn and the Rahu being in Uttarabhadrapada in the 9th house, you have to be very, very careful. Don't do things just on the sheer basis of your luck or in fluke. Don't do that, because Rahu can give, the bait of Rahu is that suddenly it can make you feel that let's do this. But do not do only on the basis of your bhagya. because you know the nakshatra of Saturn is quite a little bit, because Saturn is delays and hindrances, and as Rahu enters, Saturn is already retrograde. So here we have to understand one thing: the first few months till October end, November Saturn will go again direct. We have to be because Saturn, when it gets direct also, it starts very slowly. The results will not come out easily regarding your Bhagyasthan. So bhagya bharose nahi karna. Wait for some time, review your plans, look about the health of your, in this transit when Rahu is in Uttarabhadrapada, regarding your father. 8th house matter, and his sudden wealth may get stuck up. You'll get it, but may not immediately. These things can happen. And also your partner factor can be a little dicey in these few months. Take care of it. You understand that Saturn is still now in your 8th house, and slowly now it will move into your 9th house. So if you are running Rahu Dasha, Antardasha, Saturn Dasha, a mix of it, so these results will be very profound then. Understanding that, you have to a little bit, take precautions. Though Jupiter will help you in the 11th house, but still, stitch in time saves 9. So be cautious, because Cancer ascendants, I have always seen, they are very emotionally driven by certain activities. And because it's a very emotional sign, and Rahu is also in Pisces in a very turbulent sign, and Uttarabhadrapada is a very, karma oriented. Any Saturn nakshatra is that. So your karma is now stored in Uttarabhadrapada, will come out, especially if you have a Rahu Dasha Antardasha running. So take care of this, but certain good results again also you can expect, because the 8th house is involved. But the 8th house is about ups and downs. That is here a point is there. For the Leo ascendants, the Rahu is transiting in your 8th house. Now already the 8th house is a house of unknown things. It is ups and downs. It gives you different, setbacks also, and sudden gains also. Uttarabhadrapada is ruled by Saturn. And Saturn over here is your 6th and 7th lord. Now Saturn has gotten retrograde by the time Rahu is entering this nakshatra on 8th of July. Here the thing is that you have your 6th and 7th houses getting affected by the this Rahu, which is a very different, malefic, different outcast, in out of the box planet. And the houses, maybe your business can get a certain inflow of good things, but certain unknown enemies can also happen. Yeah, if Saturn position is good in your horoscope, then now Saturn is very well placed. That is not a problem. But the placement of Saturn in your horoscope also matters. Your business, as of now, maybe it can get suddenly, because see, retrograde Saturn gives sudden results also. Sudden fast, sudden slow. So these things can happen. And Rahu can give you sudden good results, burst of energy. Certain times will be a little laid back. These things will be continuing unless and until Saturn goes direct in the month of November. From the month of November, you can, actually get very good results regarding your 6th and 7th houses. If you need to change a job changes anyway, it can happen if you need it. Or some business ventures, if you want to start, these things can happen, because Jupiter is also in the 10th house. It is favoring you. Rahu can give you distance journeys also in this nakshatra, because Saturn is your 7th lord, and 7th lord is about certain foreign connections, foreign journeys, or all these things. These things can happen. So nonetheless, it's a good transit, not denying that. It's a good transit, but little care goes, because, Rahu is malefic and Saturn is quite malefic for you as a Leo ascendant or a Leo moon. And especially if you're running a Dasha, Antardasha of Rahu, Saturn, or combination or something like that, then you have to, you have to be prepared. Sudden events or incidents which flares up which you need to handle, you have not thought about it, may generate better results later, and it will generate. But as of now, maybe certain things will suddenly pop up and you have to handle it, that kind of a transit. But yes, the 6th and 7th house will be definitely affected by this transit of Rahu in Saturn's nakshatra, and these will be sudden things only. Sudden peak in business, sudden slowness, sudden job changes, sudden company changes, sudden changes will happen regarding the 6th and the 7th house. For Virgo ascendants, it is your Pisces, Rahu is transiting in your 7th house in Uttarabhadrapada from the 8th of July, and Saturn is your 5th and 6th lord. So here the thing is that Rahu will be affecting these houses of Saturn, the 5th and the 6th house definitely. 5th house is about progeny. Your progeny can behave a little weird at times, you can feel, or you can feel that it is not being quite disciplined as he or she should be. Your job area can see a certain change also, because the 6th house, your daily routines, because whenever Rahu planet is involved, it gives changes which we don't usually understand from before, because that kind of a planet it is a bait for the unknown also. Rahu is a very that mystical kind of a planet, which certainly gives you the results, but in a different way. The results as of now, because Saturn is retrograde, will be quite different, and from November, when Saturn goes direct, the result will be different. But yes, because Virgo ascendants are running a Ketu Rahu in the axis of Lagna and 7th, they have to be quite careful with their relationships. They have to be quite careful about that. If court cases are running, if suddenly you want to take loan, don't go for it. Think twice, because Rahu, as I am telling, it will give result of the 5th and the 6th house, in which loan, court cases, your progeny, your good luck, your name, all these things are involved. And suppose you're doing something in the public platform, because 7th house is that, you have to be quite careful, Rahu being there. What ambition you're thinking that will affect your 5th and 6th house, you have to understand a little bit. Though the transit is not bad, but as of now, Saturn is retrograde. That needs to be understood. So retrograde Saturn behaves in a very different way at times. So here, in fact, in a differently it can give delays. Sudden, it can give some result, because retrograde planets give sudden results also. So there are two divisions of this from 8th July to 25th of February. From the first 3-4 months, you can get some disturbances out of this. Rahu is a planet of disturbance also. From November, the results will be more profound. November, December, January, February. Regarding the 5th and the 6th house, it will be better. But Rahu being Rahu, I feel always we should think before the Rahu-ish activity or whatever Rahu throws at us, whether we should go along with it or not. So a kind of caution, a kind of understanding of the planet is very much required over here. But nonetheless, the transit is not bad. It will slowly pick up in a better way. For Libra ascendants, Rahu is transiting in your 6th house in Uttarabhadrapada from the 8th of July. And since Uttarabhadrapada is ruled by Saturn, so Saturn rules your 4th and 5th house. So here the matters related to the 4th and 5th house will show effect, because Rahu will give effect regarding the matters of your 4th and 5th. Now 4th is your mother, your property, you can take loans. Rahu can give huge loans in the 6th house. Your progeny related matters, your position related matters. If you desire, recognition, a promotion or something like that. 5th house is about name and fame. So these things Rahu can give, but understand that as of now, Saturn is retrograde. The first leg of this transit is happening when Saturn is already retrograde on 29th of June. And so July, August, September, October, 4 months will be the built up of it, or sudden unknown changes can happen. At this time, don't take loans or don't come to conclusions about things about your progeny or your prestige or your recognition or your fame or anything. Friend, November, December, January, February, Saturn goes retrograde. It's a more favorable time. Because see, Rahu always gives the desires and it shows you that suddenly you can do this. But what the result will be, you have to understand regarding the 4th and 5th house is what Saturn is waiting to give, because it is retrograde. Rahu will want to, put you more desires about the place where it is transiting. Here it is a 6th house. If a litigation wants to be done, you want to fast forward it. Do not be in a hurry. It will not happen in a hurry. If you want to, take a loan, think about it, how much you need, how much is okay. All these things should be, or your daily service, or some workers you have a problem with, co-workers. Think about all these matters, because if some changes you are doing about the 6th house, and about if you are running a Rahu Mahadasha Antardasha or Saturn Rahu mixed Dasha Antardasha, then these results will be even more prominent. So understand that, wait little bit for the retrogression of Saturn to end, because retrogression of a planet, the behavior is so unusual. It gives sudden results and then it delays the thing. So be careful when the first 4 months, and later obviously you can. It happens that these are the conditions when you take a loan: change your house, decorate your house, build a property, new things, 5th house matters, like some kind of creative pursuits, your progeny, for your progeny you want to take a loan, maybe some other prestige issues, your name, fame is at stake, or whatever things, these will start building up only from the month of November, not before that. Before that, if you take an action driven by the force of Rahu, some kind of problem can happen when Saturn is already retrograde. So it's nonetheless, it's not a bad transit, but a slow approach, and then the fast forward will happen in the later part of the year. Then Scorpio, Rahu is transiting in your 5th house, and Rahu now in Uttarabhadrapada nakshatra from July 8th. Saturn is your 3rd and 4th lord. Whatever initiatives you have taken, maybe regarding foreign things, maybe regarding changing of locality, maybe regarding your siblings, maybe regarding your houses, your change of house, your all these things will be enhanced more, because maybe if you had been thinking about the 3rd and 4th houses matters, when Rahu transits into your luck house and into Uttarabhadrapada is a stored nakshatra of past karmas, good and bad. Also Saturn nakshatras are like that. They make one wealthy, but generosity is very important in this transit when Rahu is traveling. Do not it will make you think a lot of out of the box thinking, because Rahu is known for its creativity and it's the 5th house. Do it, but do it with thinking now, presently, when Saturn is retrograde. Don't be in a hurry. As retrograde Saturn is quite fierce and it works in very different ways. It suddenly gives a setback, it suddenly gives results also. So that's why this retrogression, as July, August, September, October, will see Saturn retrograding all the time, and Rahu being in its nakshatra cannot give proper results regarding those houses immediately. But November, December, January, February will be much better regarding the 3rd and 4th house, and especially if you're running a Rahu Saturn mixed Dasha Antardasha something, or you have certain matters pending related to the 3rd and 4th house, it will get cleared in due time from November. So this transit for all the ascendants and for you also is not a bad transit, but understand that the way Saturn is transiting is also affecting this transit, because Rahu wants to give result regarding your 3rd and 4th house, and the ruler of those houses are retrograde. Also, the placement of Saturn in your horoscope is also very important at this, for judging the transit, whether the results will be ultimately suitable for you or not. That is the last placement of Saturn in your natal chart. Otherwise, it's not a bad transit. Just if you want to invest in, because 5th house is also, speculations and all these things, be a little careful. It is a Saturn nakshatra, it gives delays. The results do not come very easily, but it gives results, and it's a very good nakshatra that I have seen regarding Pushya, Anuradha and Uttarabhadrapada. All the three Saturn nakshatras are quite a favorite of mine, I'll say. So it will give result, but you have to little bit slow and step, because for Rahu Saturn, that slow and steady step is always the best way. So yes, that's how this transit will be. For Sagittarius ascendant, Rahu is transiting in the Uttarabhadrapada nakshatra in your 4th house, and 4th house related matters, especially because it is now transiting from 8th of July in Saturn nakshatra of Uttarabhadrapada. Your Saturn ruling areas are 2nd and the 3rd house. So money and the efforts with that, Rahu will give result regarding those houses, not denying that. Understand one thing, that Rahu, while it is getting into this nakshatra of Saturn, Saturn is already retrograde from 29th of June. So if your finances, the 2nd house or family matters, some things in the family that you want to carry on is getting a little delayed and giving the not exactly the results that you had been expecting, understand that Rahu will, even create more disturbances in that area. Because the working of Rahu is very different, and it is not what we expect. That is the main thing about Rahu, is that it behaves in a very different way than what we think it will happen. So how it tackles, because it will, as it is transiting now, your 4th house Rahu, you may, it is regarding your property matters, regarding, going to foreign lands, some uncomfortable thing. If you're living in some kind of a city, you want to change it. You understand that a change is required. So the 3rd house becomes very important. The 2nd is all your, the stability, the money, the family, whether how to deal with it. All these things can become very important at this point of time. Retrogression of Saturn can, because retrograde Saturn behaves in a very fierce, I mean, see, retrogression sudden it gives results which may not be expected, and sudden it gives delays also, because it's a slow space, it's an unknown space that the planet is going. It's not the space of its regular transit. So these 4 months, July, August, September, October, will see the retrogression of Saturn, and Rahu transiting in its nakshatra will not give actually the result that you are hoping for. It will start coming up from November, December, January, February, because till 25th or nearly the end of February, Rahu is in this nakshatra. The last 4 months, the last leg of this transit will be really good for changes regarding your 3rd and the 2nd house, and it will happen because whenever Rahu is transiting something, it will give changes regarding that houses, whether small, if it's a Sushma Dasha or Pratyanta Dasha. If it's a Dasha Mahadasha, then obviously the results is visible and big for a long period of time. That's understood. So it's not about whether the transit is good or bad. It is what to expect from the transit, and how to be cautious, because wherever Rahu is concerned, we need to be cautious in those areas. Take care of the health of your mother also and your family members. Yeah, that is the transit of Rahu in Uttarabhadrapada. Capricorn, Rahu is transiting in Uttarabhadrapada nakshatra in Pisces, your 3rd house, and it is Saturn, the ruler of this nakshatra, and Saturn is your 1st and 2nd lord. Changes regarding you will make effort. This Rahu will make you think out of box to make effort regarding yourself and regarding the money or your family or the near and dear ones close to you. It will give the results, because Rahu, when it is transiting in this nakshatra, Saturn is already retrograde. So July, August, September, October can be little slow months. Sudden results it can give, because retrogression of Saturn and Rahu transiting in Saturn nakshatra, it wants to give result for these 2 houses, 1st and 2nd, but sometimes the result can come through suddenly. So take cautious step. You will think about it, because wherever Rahu is involved, we must not jump into it. A thinking cautious approach is very important. And when the matters are about yourself, the changes are happening where about yourself, yourself and in the family, the immediate family of yours, wherever you are now. So this transit will give a leg to your, or push your ambitions also. You will put your effort in different ways and you will make these things happen also. These things will happen, but mostly in the last leg of the transit, when November, December, January, February, Saturn will be direct. Because see, when Saturn goes retrograde, the planet behaves quite unnaturally. That is the problem. It does not give results easily, and when it gives also, the results are sudden and you may not have thought about the things in that way. And Rahu being in the Saturn nakshatra, any Saturn nakshatra is storehouse of karmas, whether it is Pushya, Anuradha, Uttarabhadrapada. All threes are very favorite of mine, but I have seen that these nakshatras are storage of good and bad karmas of our life. And so when it will give result to you, it will bring in those flavors. And it is a spiritual nakshatra, as I've said in the previous thing of my video, the preface of it. So it's not about being the transit good or bad, but it's a change that's going to happen in your first and second house, because Rahu is a change maker. It's a game changer. If you have a Rahu prominent dasha antardasha going on, Saturn Rahu mix or something, then the results will be profound. 100%. The changes will be there, results will be profound. What you had been thinking till now regarding your first and second house, the perception will change. You have to let go of certain things and you have to think in a very different way. It's a good time actually. Till from July to end of February, you will see how miraculously and how that is how Rahu works actually, in a good and bad way. The first and the second houses will go through a lot of changes. You will see some changes will definitely happen in your first and second house. So be cautious about this transit. Go with the transit and understand these changes are inevitable. Definitely you will gain something out of it, definitely, 100%. Aquarius, Rahu is transiting in your second house of the Saturn nakshatra, Uttarabhadrapada, from 8th of July, your Lagna Lord and the 12th Lord. See, whenever Rahu transits a house, it creates something about some kind of disturbance. It creates about the house. So here it is your second house. Second house is a very nice place. It is the immediate home. It is your, your bank balance, your earning capacity and all this. Now, Rahu will affect your 12th and the first house. Here the transit is that as Saturn is on the Lagna, it is retrograde when Rahu is going into this 8th of July into this nakshatra. It is not a bad transit, but some changes regarding your first house will happen. And especially if you're running a Saturn Mahadasha, Rahu Antardasha, mix of Saturn Rahu, or Rahu is present in Dasha Antardasha, whatever, depending upon that, the changes will be big or small. Now, 12th house is also involved in it. So some kind of expenditures will also happen. Some maybe your house renovation, Jupiter is also in the 4th house. Some kind of fixed assets, money you take up, or Rahu wants you to, but the desires will be such, let us use the money for that. So the expenditure can build up. So think about it, go with it. But because the 12th house is also involved, the 1st and the 12th, and Rahu is transiting in Uttarabhadrapada, which is your birth, your Lagna Lord's nakshatra. Uttarabhadrapada, Pushya, Anuradha, all the nakshatras of Saturn, storage of karma. Now these karmas will be generated as Rahu is what the karma fulfill. You are going towards Rahu, right? So these karmas will come out, and Rahu will bring it. You will go towards it and you have to fulfill it. Now in small amount, big amount, depends how much the karma is and what dasha, pratyanta dasha, antardasha you are running. But understand that some kind of things with your money, income, money, family, yourself involved into it, expenditures can be high. 4th house, Jupiter is there, changes will be there. So all the houses in these matter will see a change. The changes will not be very fast because July, August, September, October, Saturn will be retrograde. From November, the changes will be more profound, easier to go with. But whenever Rahu is concerned in an area, especially your money house, don't go on a spending spree. because Rahu is that kind of a planet which certainly will give you out of box thinking. So wait, watch, take steps. Yes, Rahu is important, because that out of the box thinking, that different thinking without Rahu is not possible. But how much to take it and at what level we must commit to that, that is our calculation and our understanding of Rahu. That's why this transit is different, a little different. And I cannot say it's a good and bad or bad transit, but the thing is that some changes inevitably it will make in the area of your first and 12th, and obviously the second house, because it is transiting. So go with the transit. The first 4 months can feel a little bit sluggish. Later it will pick up with the transit, and some best results can be seen from November to February. Pisces. For Pisces, Rahu is transiting on the Lagna. So, and it is transiting in Uttarabhadrapada. Uttarabhadrapada is a Saturn ruled nakshatra. Saturn is ruling your 11th and the 12th house, and now it is posited in the 12th house. Be very careful about your health. First and foremost, wherever Rahu is, it creates some disturbances in that area. Or if you are giving money to somebody, may give it, but don't expect things in return, because that can be a philanthropy. It may not come back to you. So calculate it and give it, because see, Rahu makes you think in a certain way. The Maya of Rahu is such that it's difficult to, you know, go against it at times, especially if you're running a Rahu-Saturn combination Dasha, Antardasha, results will be big. Because see, as Rahu is going into this nakshatra on 8th of July, Saturn is already retrograde, and Saturn is situated in your 12th house. So, you know, 12th Saturn, I feel, is not only seclusion and spiritual upliftment, but some kind of, you know, health issues may happen if at all you are running a major some Saturn Rahu combination at this point in Dasha Antardasha. So a bit care about your health is important. A bit care about your monetary things is important. Try to follow a very disciplined way, because Rahu makes very erratic changes on the Lagna. It's not a very easy transit when Rahu Ketu is transiting on the Lagna. So take these things into consideration. It is not a good and bad transit. Understand one thing, whenever in transit also eclipses happen with Rahu Ketu, Uttarabhadrapada is the storehouse of karma. Any Saturn nakshatra, Pushya, Anuradha, Uttarabhadrapada is a storehouse of karma. And those karmas, when Rahu transits these nakshatras, they bring out those karmas to be neutralized. Now the karma is good and bad depending on that and the houses Saturn is ruling, you will get the result. Now the results can be sudden gains also. It is the 11th house, Rahu, it's transiting on your Lagna. But again, Saturn, suppose some you know, you are suddenly caught in the home with some kind of a disease or something. These variations happen with Rahu very much. And because Saturn is retrograde from July, August, September, October, retrograde Saturn certain gives delayed and sudden results also. Suddenly it can give results. November, December, January, February, it can be a quite a progressive way of giving results, as Saturn again it'll go direct. So I cannot put it into a box of a good and bad transit, but as far as health is concerned and money is concerned, I will take the precautionary areas are that. Or if you're secluded into some place due to whatever reason, you may be doing some kind of research work, you need to go back and sit in a place and all by yourself, you can feel the spiritual pinch of it when Rahu, because it is a spiritual nakshatra, you can feel the seclusion because Saturn is in your 12th house. These things can happen. So this is how the transit will go. Your Lagna Lord is good, well placed in Rohini Nakshatra. So your efforts will not go unnoticed, but do take efforts about yourself also, and put a lot of precaution on your health when this transit is there. So that will help you. It'll lessen the effect of it. So this was the take of Rahu in Uttarabhadrapada. Saturn is going retrograde very soon. Let me see if I can make a video on that. I'm already late with a lot of work pending up. So I suppose I see you again next week. Till then, take care. Have a good day. Thank you.